This conference will now be recorded.
Good morning, everyone. So I'm sorry for the delay. I think there was a little bit of confusion in some messages. You were at 9 a.m. and somewhere 9:30. So I thought we'll start by 9:30. I'm sorry for that. So first of all, I'm Srinivas. I'm the founder of the institute. I handle the front-end domain of the training at the institute. So probably in few minutes you'll understand what is front end, what is back end. Uh, so today we'll be having the demo session, uh, functional verification training. I understand there are various students who have joined this thing. I mean, there are around 50 students joining and some students in the classroom. Okay, this will be the demo session for VLSI functional verification training. VLSI, I mean, everything is VLSI, of course. I don't have to write VLSI. One is RTL design and integration training. And third is DFT training. If someone is there for FPGA training, essentially all these things except DFT, everything comes into the front end flow of the VLSI. So I'll explain you what is front end domain. What we do is see conducting. We offer almost 10 different courses. So DFT training, functional verification training, RTL design training, RTL integration training, STA training, physical design training. So we can't do 10 different. Uh, Please open. So we don't want to do uh, 10 different demo sessions. So rather, what we do is we do two demo sessions, one focused on front end domain, one focused on the back end domain. So today, what we are doing is a VLSI front end domain demo session. Now, and this will be majorly focused on these two aspects. Now the question comes, what about DFT training? What about FPGA training? For those who are attending DFT training, there will be a demo session, another demo session at 1 p.m. on 21st of August. That is tomorrow at 1 p.m. There will be a demo session. Ideally, it would have happened today, but trainer is not available today for some reason. Okay. Now those who are interested in FPGA training will have a dedicated demo session on it. So we divide the demo session into two aspects. One is to help you understand the VLSI flow. I mean, I believe most of you are freshers just out of college. Uh, you may have some exposure. I mean, I can't assume that you will have a exposure to the entire VLSI flow, or you would be knowing VLSI flow. I don't start with that assumption. Probably you will have a basic idea about what is VLSI, right? You probably don't understand much into what is functional verification, what is DFT, what is physical design. Today's session, the initial part of the session is to help you understand what is that flow is about, what are the two domains majorly, and how do we choose the domain, which domain to get into. Because if you want to get into a software domain, kind of easy. Let's say you want to get into software, there are only two aspects there. What are the two aspects? design, that is development. Second will be testing, right? If you are looking for any software job, there are only two job roles, whether you are into development or design of the software, or you are into testing. Now testing can be manual or automation, there are two different aspects, right? So you don't have a lot of confusion there. Simple, either I will get into design or testing. When it comes to VLSI, it's little more complicated than that. Why is it so? Is VLSI itself, like software is only two domains, VLSI is almost 10 to 15 domains. Now the question comes, do I need to learn everything in 10 to 15 domains? Do I need to learn each and every domain? Not required, right? So you need to choose the right domain, which is interesting for you. Many times people ask which domain has more jobs, right? Of course, that is important. I mean, knowing where the jobs are there, and you have to do the training in that domain, because at the end you have to find a job. Those attending online, please be in mute. The problem with this application is, those attending online, please be in mute. Tirupati, please be in mute. So as I was telling, VLSI consists of around 10 to 15 domains. Now, these domains, instead of taking each of them, we divide this all these domains into two major domains. One is front-end domain, one is back-end domain. Why this division is important is, I mean, if you go to industry, they won't call front end back end. Let's say you go into Qualcomm, they won't say I'm into front end, I'm into back end. They won't say that. At least from a training perspective, we divide it into two domains. One is front end domain, one is back end domain. Front end domain job role is mostly programming oriented, mostly tool and technology oriented. Someone who is looking into, who want to get into front end domain, the job role will be mostly programming oriented job role, and back end domain is mostly tool and technology oriented job role. To understand what is this, let us take an example of VLSI design flow, how it works. It is similar to anything, you can take any, let's say similar to house construction, or for that matter car manufacturing. Any example you take where you finally come out with a product. See, house is like a product, car is like a product. Okay, for simplicity, let's take an example of a house construction, which we can easily correlate. Like the way it starts with, how does house construction start? You don't directly start constructing the walls. First, what do? You come up with the requirements, right? You come up with requirements, you approach an architect, then you have various people involved, right? People who do the construction, people who do the painting, plumbing, carpentry, everything, electrician, everything. Finally we have the house, right? It goes through various stages. I mean, if I ask you how many stages are there in house construction, someone may say 10 stages, someone else may say 12 stages. Let's say if I consider something else as a two steps, it will become 12 steps totally. I mean, depending upon how the person looks at this, overall requirements can be 10, it can be 15, it can be 12, based on how we divide the whole overall activity into various stages. So VLSI design flow is about manufacturing of. Now, in this context, I'll also give you a little bit about embedded systems. See, many times people tend to get confused between what is VLSI, what is embedded systems. See, VLSI is about making the chips. I mean, finally, outcome of VLSI is the chip. Embedded system is about developing the applications. I mean, the drivers, everything on top of those chips. They don't. A embedded system engineer doesn't have anything to do with making of a chip, manufacturing of a chip. For him, chip is already available. He has to develop applications or drivers which will work on that chip. So his role is different, right? So as I said, VLSI design flow is about manufacturing the chip. See, house construction was about getting the house ready, right? Finally. So this also goes through various stages, like we went through requirements. After the requirement, what do we have? You go to architect. Like you go to in case of house, you go to house architect. Here you went to house architect. Here whom do you go to? Chip architect. What he will give you? He will give you architecture diagram, a proper diagram. The way you get architecture diagram for a house, something like that. You'll get an architecture diagram which will tell what all blocks are there. Blocks means GPU block is there, processor block is there, display block is there, multimedia subsystem block is there. These are all connected. That kind of diagram they'll give you. Along with that, they'll give you some specifications which details how the chip is going to behave like. Now, these architecture, diagram, and specification are input to the next stage. See, like what happens? This those attending online, please be in mute. Lakshmi Sagara, please be in mute. Lakshmi Sagara, please be in mute. So, at every stage, what happens is the requirements become input to architect. Whatever architect gives, what is that architect will give? Architecture diagram and specification. That becomes input to the next stage. So whatever is the outcome of one stage becomes input to the next stage. That means they are all dependent. Similar to a house construction. You want to have a painter do the work. Can he do painting without construction done? So there is a dependency between each stage. So that also we'll discuss. So what is the first thing we started with? Requirements, then chip architect. Now you may be thinking, I came for functional verification demo. What is that it has to do with me? I'll just spend 5-10 minutes. I give you a brief overview of what happens, because my assumption is that some of you probably don't know this. Okay, rather than getting into teaching Verilog system Verilog, it would be better to give you a brief overview of what is what. Then I can help you understand what is front end, what is back end, what is the skill set required, and how to choose the right domain. That is what I'm trying to do now. Now, once we have this architect, what is the next step that happens is we have a team called as design team. Design team are also called as RTL design team. They're called as RTL design team. RTL stands for register transfer level. It is one of the styles of programming in Verilog language. In VLSI, there is a Verilog language. In Verilog, we use a style of programming called as register transfer level, which is the acronym for RTL, right? So they use Verilog language to implement the design behavior as per above architecture and specifications. What they will do? The RTL design team, what do you mean by team? It's a group of people. It's not like a one person, it's a group of people who will take this architecture diagram and the specification and then use Verilog language to implement the architecture and specification behavior. Then what is the outcome of this? Output of this stage is what? A Verilog code. Like C program will be there. We'll use Verilog language to implement the Verilog code. This becomes input to next stage. These Verilog files are input to the next stage. So the next stage after this is called as RTL integration. Sometimes this can be there, this may not be there. Integration may be there, may not be there. If the design is complex, you need to do integration of subblocks. If the design is simple, you don't have this stage. What they do is they take these Verilog files, multiple blocks, Verilog code, integrated to get bigger block. It's like putting together smaller blocks to get a bigger block. This is one Verilog code. This another Verilog code. This is the third Verilog code, fourth one, fifth one. Putting together, what we have is a bigger Verilog code. That work is called as integration. You know, right? What do you mean by integration? Connecting together everything. Connecting together various subblocks. Yeah, that is a very simple example. Yes, something like that. Like he said, using full half adder to make a full adder, right? That could be one very simple way of looking understanding this, right? Okay. Now it's not as simple as that. RTL integration involves lot of effort, I mean lot of stages also. Okay. Once it is done, we need to know whether this Verilog code is working fine or not. I mean, whatever Verilog code that has been developed, is it working fine or not? We need to check. That stage is called as functional verification. I mean, what do you understand from the term functional verification? Verifying the design functionality. In this stage, what are we doing? We are verifying the design functionality, whether the design is functioning properly or not. We are verifying. So here we use some languages called as system verilog and UVM to do the verification. That is where you might have heard system verilog UVM, right? Where does system verilog UVM come into the picture? During the functional verification stage, they come into the picture. So during that stage, we use system verilog and UVM languages. These are also languages, like we have a C program, C language, C++. We have a language called SV and UVM languages to do the verification. Once it is done, we know that at this stage, we know that code is working fine. Whatever Verilog code that we have developed, it is working properly. Till this point, whatever we did, this is very similar to how software works. If you take any software development, this is almost the same thing that goes into software development. Even if you take, let's say, you go to a bank, they are using one banking software, but maybe from Infosys or any company they are using. Even that company would have developed in the same manner. They would have come up with the requirements of the software. They will have an architect to come up with the overall architecture of the system. Then they won't have RTL design team, they'll have a software development team. Then they will have a integration team. They'll have a testing team, where they do manual and test automation, right? Till this point, it's all same. The only difference here is, in software, you don't need to make a chip out of it. See, software, you don't need to convert it into a chip. Software will be installed into a system. Like, you take any software, like I am using this Windows PowerPoint. That is an application, that is a software, that is a please be mute. Bharat, please be in mute. So I was telling you the difference between software and VLSI. I was telling you that from a software development perspective and this aspect, both of them are similar. The only difference is in software you don't need to make it into a chip, whereas in VLSI my flow doesn't stop here. Our flow doesn't stop here. After this, we need to do some flow where it need to be converted into a chip. So then in this case, what is the remaining steps? Let's quickly talk about, and then we'll move to the further aspect. So this entire aspect is what we call as front-end domain. I was telling you VLSI front-end domain, right? So starting from where does the front-end domain start with? Requirements. It started with the requirements. Where does it end? Functional verification. It ends with functional verification. So the VLSI front-end domain is very similar to software flow. So what we do in the software domain, it is very similar to that. Whatever skill set a software engineer requires, a similar kind of skill set VLSI engineer requires. Similar, okay, I'm not telling same set, okay. Now, then what is remaining in this is once you have done the verification, we need to convert this Verilog code into a chip. You agree with that? Finally, it need to be converted into a chip. I mean, because even this phone, the which I am using, would have been a Verilog code before. Before it became a chip, it would have been a Verilog code. It goes through some steps where that Verilog code finally gets converted into a chip. That entire flow is called as VLSI backend domain flow. Like one I said VLSI front end domain flow, that is this stage. Everything after that I'm calling as backend domain flow. Again, let me tell you, if you go to Qualcomm or Intel, they probably won't understand the term front end backend. This division only for our ease of training. I mean, to help you understand things easily, that's the only reason. Okay. Now, here it starts with something called as, I'll be very brief here. I won't go deep into it because most of you are looking for front end domain training. So that's where we'll spend more time learning front end domain aspects. Backend domain starts with something called as synthesis. Synthesis is basically converting Verilog code into gate level format. We convert the Verilog code, we take Verilog code and that is converted into gate level format. Gate level format means what? Gates means what? AND gate, NAND gate, NOR gate, XOR gate, OR gate, different gates. It's converted into that kind of format. Once this is converted, we do something called as DFT. DFT also happens in here. I mean, DFT can be done here also. DFT can be done at two levels. I will give a brief about what is DFT in few minutes. First, let's quickly understand the flow. Once DFT is done, then we have physical design. What is physical design is, see, we have gate level format. For a mobile phone SoC, mobile phone chip, let's say the chip that goes into mobile phone, let's say in the one which I'm using, it may have, there can be 100 crore gates. The one which is going into the chip which is there in my mobile phone, it may have 100 crore gates. Like that's what I'm calling is 1 billion gates. That's a very big number, right? You can understand. And we need to fit in this many gates into a very small area. This much. Actually, the chip will be one square, 1 centimeter this side, 1 centimeter this side. It could be even smaller than that. The chip could be even smaller than this. So this all these gates need to fit into this much small area. Can it be done manually? Can it be done manually? No, right? There are some, it need to be done through some kind of software. That process is called as physical design. That whole process where you fit in these all these gates into this small area. Now it won't happen randomly. You don't throw the gates and they won't go into the chip. You need to put it in a properly ordered manner. And not only that, they have to connect everything. See, are you familiar with CMOS basic concepts? Like, this is how CMOS looks like. You might be familiar with this thing. This is voltage, this is ground, this is input, this is output. This is a simple example of CMOS inverter. This is an example of a CMOS inverter. Here what you need to understand is, for every transistor, how many 100 crore gates means at least 100 crore transistors will be there. At least every transistor needs voltage line. Every transistor requires gate line. One second.
Okay, sir.
Yeah,
I
please tell
didn't.
me.
Yeah, I didn't get a screen.
No, can you please come again? I couldn't hear
Yeah,
you.
I didn't get the screen because you are explaining through the screen, right?
No, I
I
think
didn't.
everyone else is able to see. Can you log off and log in again?
Oh, okay, okay. Thank you. I will check it again.
So what I was telling here is, uh, I'll just. So here, what I'm trying to tell you is, trying to tell you the complexity involved in physical design. What is the complexity is, every transistor, if there are 100 crore gates, there will be 100 crore transistors. Every transistor in the chip needs to get the voltage line. Every transistor in the circuit needs to get the ground line. Imagine this room, the room in which we are sitting. How many power points are there? Probably you can just see all around, maybe 10 power points will be there. Everywhere they need to take the electric wire. All those 10 points, only then the light will glow, right? If light is glowing, I mean light is turning on, why? There is a wire they have taken to each and every point. Imagine what is the effort involved in taking electric wire to 10 points here. Clear, right? It's a big room, very big room, in which to 10 places they are taking the electric wire. Now imagine taking electric wire in such a small area to how many places? 100 crore places, means 1 billion places, in such a way that they should not intersect with each other. There are a lot of things they have to do. I mean, wires will get distributed, but if there are multiple voltages, they should not short with each other. Let's say there can be a 3 voltage line, there can be a 2 voltage line, they should not short with each other. It's like there are two parallel poles going, their cable should not short, right? In the outside the in the main road. Okay. So this is the complexity involved. So let's not get too much deep into physical design. I'm trying to tell you that putting all these gates into a small area is not a very simple task, and it cannot be done manually. That is where this entire flow is automated. tool based flow. Means we use softwares called as EDA software. EDA stands for electronic design automation. Those attending online, please be in mute. Ganesh, please be in mute. Okay. So we do something called as electronic design automation software to automate that flow. Okay. It again involves multiple stages. Let's not get into it. So there will be stages like floor plan, power planning, placement, routing, CTS, lot of things. Let's not get too much deep into it. Once this physical design is done, they do something called as static timing analysis, STA, static timing analysis. After that, they do the layout, custom layout. Finally, they do physical verification. They check that whether everything, whatever this gates that are placed into the die, this is a small area, 1 centimeter, 1 centimeter, or even it could be bigger or smaller. They have placed all the gates, right? How many gates they have placed into it? 100 crores of gates. Are they all placed properly without any issues? That is called as physical verification. Finally, what they do is everything is done at what level? Transistor level. How does transistor look like? I mean, if I'm talking about MOSFET, the oxide, gate, substrate, like that, right? They will extract some parameters like at what depth doping need to be done, how much doping need to be done, what will be the size of this oxide, what will be the size of this gate, everything they will take the parameters. They will extract a file called as, a file is extracted. That file is called as GDS2. Similar to movie, like you are playing a movie, you copy a movie from pen drive. Let's say it's 1 gigabyte file. What does 1 gigabyte file has? The each frame, the each frame of the movie will be there, and that will be played by my movie player. Same way GDS2 will tell in this whole chip where will be the substrate, where we need to do the doping, where we need to deposit the metal, where we need to deposit the oxide. That kind of information will be there in GDS2. Okay, those who are completely new to device fundamentals and MOSFET, please ignore. No need to worry so much about it. I'm just trying to complete the flow. Once it is done, it goes for fabrication. Using GDS2, GDS2 file is used to do the fabrication. Then finally we do post silicon validation. Post silicon validation means, post means what? Once the silicon has been manufactured, we are validating whether the chip is working properly or not. Only if it is chip is working fine, it will go into my final electronic product. Otherwise, if you get a faulty mobile phone, will you use that? No, right? That is where they check whether the chip is good or chip is faulty. Given a chip, let's say they manufacture 1 million chips, means 10 lakhs, right? 1 million chips. They need to figure out of 1 million, how many are good, how many are bad. That process is called as post silicon validation, because you can't afford to sell a electronic product which is faulty. So that process of identifying which is a good chip, which is a bad chip, that's called as post silicon validation. Then finally it goes into the product. It can be laptop, it can be a mobile phone, it can be any other application, any other hardware for that matter. Now, so as I told you, till this stage, whatever we did is called as front end domain. Here, whatever we did is called as back end domain. Okay. Now, why this division? I told you that the same terminology probably Intel will not use. The same terminology probably Qualcomm will also not use. They will only talk, I am working on ST, I am working on custom layout. He won't tell I am into backend team, I am into front end team. They won't tell you. Now why this division for us is to make the things easy for the freshers. Otherwise, if I tell you there are 12 domains, okay, what are the 12 domains? Requirements architect, design team, integration team, functional verification team. Then I tell you synthesis, DFT, which course you want to take. It'll be very confusing, right, to start with. If I tell you these are all domains are there, these are the various domains: requirements, architecture, design, integration, functional verification. They are all falling into front end domain flow. Back end domain is what? Synthesis, DFT, physical design, STA, various aspects. If I tell you among all this choose one domain, it will be quite confusing. Rather, what we do is we divide it into two aspects: one is front end, one is back end. Now for a front end engineer, programming, majorly the job will be programming based. I told you, right, front end domain is very similar to what? Software domain. What a software engineer does, it's very similar to that. Okay, back end domain is about converting that verilog code, that code into a chip. So as I told you, it is more based on the tool, because we are trying to do very advanced things which cannot be done completely manually. So that's where tool comes into picture. And also it involves technology. Why technology is involved? Because you are working at the transistor level, you're working at the implementation level. So there you need to understand the basic concepts of voltage, basic concepts of resistance, capacitance, how the transistor behaves, what are the short channel effects, what is the difference between MOSFET and FinFET, that whole thing. So backend domain is mostly tool and technology oriented job. Front end domain is completely programming oriented job role, where you should have good expertise with the programming. So that is where you decide between front end or back end. Now again the question comes, how do I choose which domain? See, in this there is a little easy thing here. There is a work distribution among the freshers and experienced generally. In the front end domain, you leave aside the FPGA design. Okay, leave aside FPGA design for now. This is one domain where the freshers are hired. Functional verification is one domain where freshers are hired. For all these domains, generally freshers are not considered. They require at least 2 years of experience to get into these domains. In the backend domain, DFT, physical design, freshers are considered. Whatever you see in the marked in the red, freshers will be considered for the domains. Even custom layout, even physical verification, even post silicon validation. For all these domains, a fresher will be considered. If I add FPGA design, I mean, if at all you get into FPGA design, yes, FPGA design also freshers will be considered. Now, does it mean that these are high end works, these are low end works? I mean, is that like, is it like a low priority work and is it like high priority work? Not like that. That's not the reason. Typically what happens is, if there is a team of, let's say 60 people, you're working into, let's say you get into Qualcomm for example, in which you are working into one mobile SoC team. There, what is the team does? They will come out with a chip which will go into your mobile phone. So there's a mobile phone into which that chip will go. These 60 people will be responsible for that making of that chip. Typically what might happen is there will be roughly 30 people here, 30 people here. That 60 people are kind of roughly, I mean, you may say, is it exactly 30? There is some variation. 30 people into front end domain, 30 people into back end domain. This 30 people further, here there will be, so leave aside FPGA design, here there will be almost 23 people will be there. In which domain major people are there? Functional verification. Integration can be 2 people, design can be 2, it can be 2, 1 or 2. So where do you see major set of people working. Almost 75% of the people are into only one domain, functional verification. Okay. Now, since these teams only require less people, will they go for fresher or will they go for experience? Experience only, right? Because you can't manage where there are only few people, one or two people. You can't manage a fresher to come and do that, deliver that work. They will definitely go for who? Person who has experience in that domain. Whereas a domain where you need 23 people, what they can do? They can take 10 experienced people, they can take 13 freshers. I mean, someone who are in the lower experience range. That way, what happens is they can manage the cost. They can manage the. Please be in mute. Pati, please be in mute. So, as I was telling you, except for these kind of disturbances, right? Online training is also smooth. You understood what is the only disturbance, otherwise it was a smooth flow. Again, I have to break and catch up the flow. These are the disturbance. If the participants are well behaved, they know how to attend the session properly, online training and classroom training won't have much difference. Okay. Generally it won't happen. I mean, demo, right? People don't have that, they're just new to this uh, tool, they may be not using. Okay. Coming back to this, I was telling you that 75% of the people work into this team. Again, there can be variation, 70%, 80%, like that. Because of that, to reduce the cost and to have a proper team balance, they go for some many freshers also. That is where you see a lot of freshers being considered for functional verification. If you ask, let's say you tell that I will do training in RTL design and I want to get into RTL design as a fresher, chance of you getting a job is very less, because it requires only two or three people. The companies would rather go for an experienced person for that. Same similar thing happens here also. DFT also companies are open to hire freshers. Physical design also companies are open to hire freshers. Custom layout, physical verification. These are all domains where they're okay to hire freshers. Wherever there is a bulk requirement is there, they do a distribution of experienced people and freshers. That's where you see whoever looking into front end domain, we tell that the domain name is functional verification. Not that we can't teach other domains, we can teach other domains also. Even we do have such courses, because we do those courses for the experienced working professionals. But then from a fresher, idea is to get a job, right? So where do you have a better chance of getting job? Functional verification. We were discussing about design flow, we are discussing about what is front end, what is back end. Now what we will understand is the skill set required for VLSI front end domain engineer. I mean, what does front end domain engineer do and what is the skill set required? Again, when I say front end domain engineer, many times I'm referring to functional verification engineer, because we are looking from a perspective of where do you stand better chance of getting job. And even here, when we say RTL design and verification, ASIC verification, or functional verification, all of them are referring to the same domain. All of them are referring to the same domain. Okay, even when I say functional verification, I'm referring to the same job role. ASIC verification also, I'm referring to the same job role. RTL verification also refers to the same job role. It's just that different people use different naming, so that's the reason I'm writing down everything. Okay. Now let us talk about what is the skill set required for VLSI front end domain engineer. The skill set is they should be good with the digital design fundamentals, because finally every chip consists of, if you take any chip, it can be divided into two parts. One is the digital part. What is the other part? analog part. Any chip consists of digital part, analog part, and majorly digital part consists of 80 to 90% of the chip. If you take a mobile phone, the digital components in the chip. One second. Lakshmi, please be in mute. I was telling you that uh, if you take any chip, let's say mobile phone you take, 80 to 90% of the chip will be digital components. What do we mean by digital component is things which work at 1 and 0 level. They work with binaries, binary pattern. Remaining 10 to 20% will be analog. What is meant by analog? They work at analog voltage level. Like they don't take 1 and 0 as input. Their input is either input or output is analog voltage. Voltage will be the input or output. What are the examples of analog thing? ADC, DAC, differential amplifier, right? Band gap reference, right? There are almost 20 to 30 circuits which fall into analog circuit domain, right? The people who work into that are called as analog design engineers. People who work into this portion are called as digital design engineers. All the people who are sitting here and all the people who are undergoing training demo session today are looking for digital design domain, because we don't, since how much percentage happens into analog domain? 10 to 20%. So where do you have a better chance of getting a job? Digital domain. That is where all the institutes in Bangalore, maybe except one or two, I don't know that also, but I should not say all, right? That's why I'm taking except for one or two. You'll always find all the institutes are focused in digital design training only. They are not into analog domain training because there are very few opportunities in analog domain. The team will be very small and the requirements will be very small. Since the requirements are very small and the analog domain is complex, they mostly hire from IIT, NITs. They hire the freshers, and those once they are hired, those people are into that domain for 15, 20 years. Like some of my friends who got into TI, they are into the same team since last 15 years. They are only doing analog design. That's all. So that's how mostly it happens. That is where even if you undergo some training in analog circuit design or something, your chance of getting job into analog domain is less. I won't say no chance, less compared to digital design domain. That is where you should have a digital design fundamentals. I mean, to become a good digital design engineer, what you should have? You should be good with digital design fundamentals, right? What is digital design fundamentals? The basic concepts of gates, the truth tables, K maps, Boolean logic reduction. I mean, how do you use De Morgan theorem, associative law, commutative law? There are some theorems are there, right? How do you use them? Then the basic circuits like what is full adder, what is half adder, subtractor, comparator, multiplexer, encoder, decoder, priority encoder, right? All those things. Then what else you should be good with? Then you should be good with the sequential part, like what is flip flop, what is latch, what is counter, what is state machine, different things. I mean, I don't want to tell everything and confuse you. I'm telling you because the digital design is made up of those concepts. You should be good with digital design fundamentals. Other than that, you should be good with the basics of CMOS and FinFET, because at the end all the gates are getting implemented as what? Transistors. Even if you take AND gate, OR gate, anything finally gets implemented as what? As a transistor only, right? So you should have a little idea about what is mean by CMOS, what is PMOS, what is NMOS, that level of understanding. Then all the projects are always executed in Linux. Let's say you go into Qualcomm, you go into Intel, you go into Nvidia, you go into Broadcom, anywhere you go, all the project execution happens in what? Linux operating system only. So you should be good with how to work with Linux operating system. The way I'm able to use Windows system, you should have similar comfort level with Linux operating system also. Other than that, you should be good with scripting languages. There is something called as scripting languages: Perl, Python, TCL, any one of them. No need to know everything, only one of them you should be good with. Other than that, you should have GVim, one text editor. See, I'm using this text editor, right? What is meant by comfort? Let's say if I want to copy these 4 lines and paste it somewhere, it's very easy. See, if I go here, Y3 enter. So this kind of ease you can't do in Word. Can I, if I open Microsoft Word, can I do this kind of copy paste easily, so much easily? Let's say I want to go and delete these 2 words required for I want to delete. Those 2 are deleted. Let's say VLSI front end I want to delete. It got deleted. You got right. I mean, this level of comfort you won't have in Microsoft Word because it is meant for something else. This is meant for purely for programming purpose. The one which I'm using, it's meant for programming purpose. Now, whatever I have deleted, I want to paste here. Paste it. So this level of comfort you should get with GVim. Like that, this tool is called as GVim, graphical Vim, or Notepad and edit something. One of them. Okay, this is the common skill set every VLS engineer requires. It doesn't matter you are from a front end domain or you are from a back end domain, you compulsorily require this skill set, whatever is shown here. Because you are a digital engineer, you need digital design fundamentals. You will definitely require CMOS and FinFET basics. You should be good with Linux operating system. You should know one scripting language. Now, what is scripting language? I'll explain later when we go into the course. It's a very powerful tool, actually. I mean, whatever we do repeatedly, whatever repetitive task we do every day, they can be automated very easily. All these big companies you see, Qualcomm, Intel, they are so, their flow is so powerful because they use scripting languages to automate the flow. If you go to Qualcomm, why they are such a, their project flow is so efficient? It's because they use some languages called as Python, Perl and Tcl to automate the flow. They don't do everything manually. They do something called as automation. The flow will be automated. To do automation they use Perl or Python or TCL. Okay, if I'm telling that they are so powerful because of automation, you should understand that these languages are very important. Many times these companies like HCL, they hire only if a person knows Python. The person need not know C language. I mean, I'm not talking about VLSI, I'm talking about a generic software perspective. If a person is very good with Python, he doesn't know C, he doesn't know C++, he doesn't know anything, company still hires. They're such a powerful languages. Other than that, you should be good with GVim. I showed you, right, what I can, we can do easily in GVim. Yes, some simple example I showed you. Like that, there are hundreds of things you can do. So this is the common skill set you will require as a VLS engineer. Now the question comes, do I need to learn all those before joining the course? Let's say the training is starting day after tomorrow or whenever. Do I need to know all these things? Not required at all. Everything will be taught from the basics. Even when we say digital design, we'll be starting from the very fundamentals of what is AND gate, what is OR gate, what is a truth table, what is a K map, what is a 2 cross 2 K map, what is 4 cross 2 K map. We'll be starting with all those fundamentals. And even this will be taught from the basics. Linux will also be taught from the basics. Everything will be taught from the basics. Now, when you go to front end domain, what is the skill set you require? Let's say you want to join into front end domain. What is the skill set you will require? First skill set is you should be good at reading design specification. I mean, one document will be there. You should be good at reading the design specification and comprehend the architecture and functionality. What do we mean by that is, if I go here, let's say there will be one document like this. How many pages is this? 51 pages. So you should be good at, let's say this is Ethernet IP is the one which you are verifying. Let's say I am developing and verifying Ethernet IP core. I should be good at reading this document, every line. Like I should be able to read this line and understand what they are telling. So wherever I go, I should be able to understand each and every being mentioned here. The first skill set that I require as a VLSI front-end engineer. This is not required for back-end engineer. If you ask me, does a physical design engineer worry about this document? No, absolutely no. He doesn't need anything about this. But every front-end engineer, RTL engineer, RTL integration engineer, and functional verification engineer need to know each and everything in this document. That is the first thing I said. Reading design specification, that document is called as design specification, and comprehend the design architecture and functionality. What is the second skill set you require? Standard protocols. What is meant by standard protocols is, if you take software domain, for a software domain what is important? Algorithms are very important. C language is not important. C++ is also not important. What is really important for a software engineer is algorithms. If you go to Google or Amazon kind of companies for interviews in software domain, they won't ask you C, C++. They'll give you some problem. They'll ask you to come up with an algorithm to solve that problem. Algorithm is very important. Here, like algorithms are important in software, in VLSI, standard protocols are important. Standard protocols like USB protocol, SPI protocol, DDR protocol, they are called as standard protocols. So there are two categories: on-chip protocols, peripheral protocols. We should know how this on-chip protocol works, how this peripheral protocol works. They are not very complex. As we go forward, we'll discuss them. Other than that, you should learn the languages like Verilog, System Verilog, UVM. Those languages need to be learned. And most importantly, as a functional verification engineer, what are we doing? We are checking the functionality of a code, whether it is working properly or not. Correct, right? As a functional verification engineer, we are checking whether a design functionality is working properly or not. So they should be good at catching the bugs. Given something, is it working properly or not? So they should be good at debugging the failures. They should be good at tracing the issues and analyzing the failing logs. Basically, given a code, I should be able to tell, is it working fine or does it has any issues? So for that, I need to have this skill set. So a front-end engineer requires all this skill set. Got it. Now, if I go to a back-end engineer, it requires a completely different skill set. A back-end domain engineer, what is skill set required? They should have tool expertise. I told you, right? They mostly use the tools to do the flow, and they should be good with device and semiconductor fundamentals, like what is meant by n doping, p doping, what is diode, what is BJT, what is PMOS, what is NMOS, CMOS, FinFET, what is second order effects, what is IC fabrication, some technology concepts like how does a RC circuit will behave, how does the capacitor charging will happen, how the capacitor discharge will happen, and what is meant by parasitic capacitance, what is fan out, what is load. See, you see here, do you see any kind of programming involved here? No, right? It is completely, there is no programming involved. It's mostly tool and technology. It's tool focused and technology focused job. So this is where you can choose either to get into front end domain or either to get into back end domain, right? In all these courses, typically what happens is, uh, there will be a 2 months of basics training, 4 months of advanced training. There will be a 2 months of basics training and 4 months of advanced training, for every course for that matter. Even when we say functional verification, even when we say physical design, every domain it happens. Now, since most of you are here attending a functional verification, I mean the front end domain training demo session or DFT training demo session, I will talk only from the perspective of front end and DFT only. Even for the people who are attending DFT, as I told you, there will be a session at 1 p.m. tomorrow. There will be a dedicated session on DFT training, 1 p.m. tomorrow. Next. So, what is the time now? I didn't carry my watch. 10:25. Okay. We will do for another 10 minutes and take a break. 10-15 minutes and take a break. Okay. So, the front end domain, the 6 months training, or I would rather say VLSI, functional verification training, is for 28 weeks. That is roughly 600 minutes. Other I would have said. How this 28 weeks is divided, let me give you a brief. Initial 3 weeks, we divide this training into three phases. Phase one. Initial phase one, the first 3 weeks will be on digital design. Later 7 weeks will be on Verilog. In phase two, 7 weeks will be on system Verilog. 4 weeks will be on. Those attending online, please be in mute. Isha, please be in mute. By this time, see how many weeks are done by this time totally? 10 weeks and 21 weeks. That is roughly 5 months. At this stage, you start getting placement support. You would have done multiple projects during Verilog. You would have done multiple projects. Even during system Verilog, you would have done one project. So by this time, you're ready for the job actually. I mean, ready to go for placement, job support. Okay. Here comes the projects actually. Here what we do is, there will be 2 weeks for AXI verification of development, around 4 weeks for the industry standard project, around 4 to 5 weeks I would say, around 2 weeks for Linux. In fact, Linux will be taught here only for 1 week. 1 week for roughly, if you see, it is around 1 or 2 weeks I would say. This is how the overall course structure will be divided. So we are trying to make sure that in the phase one and phase one will be the basic foundation, because here if you don't know anything about Verilog, anything about, you're not familiar with digital, because you might have done in the second semester. Now it's already 3 years done, right? So you may have lost touch with the digital, you may have lost touch with the Verilog, or you may have not done Verilog at all. This will give you the required foundation. This is where the advanced level of training happens. This is where you get exposed to the industry standard project, AXA verification IP, industry standard project. Everything will be covered here. Even in UVM, we do a project. Even in SV, we do a project. But we are trying to make sure that 5 months, major part of the training is done, so that you can start looking out for a job. You don't have to wait for 7 months or 6.5 months to look for the job. Now, how this happens is, even if you are attending in classroom, you get a job, you can join the training, get into the job, and you can do this part either online, or you can do this part in a self-paced learning mode. Means you are into a job, you will get access to the videos, you start going through the videos. We have a dedicated sessions over the weekends for doubt clarification. So this is how the training will be planned. Now, training will be for 6 days per week, 9:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. Sunday will be off. And recorded video access for 10 days for every session. Whether you are attending classroom, online, doesn't matter. every session you attend, like whatever I'm doing now, session is being recorded. Whatever I will do tomorrow, I mean every session that happens in the institute is recorded. That video will be uploaded to our e-learning portal. So we have a e-learning portal. Our portal is inskill.in. For example, if I go to Verilog, here we will be giving you such access, okay, where you will get access to the live videos. You will get access to all the course videos here, like this. They will be ordered in this manner. Whatever session happens today, tomorrow, every session will, you'll get access to those videos. Other than that, in the same portal, you'll get access to the presentation, the course presentation, the presentation that's being used. Okay. Other than that, various presentations. Then the assignments will be present here. Assignments will be quite detailed assignments. They won't be like 2-3 line assignments. You see, one assignment will be quite long. This is long not because there are a lot of questions. It's long because each question is very elaborate. We are trying to keep each question elaborate so that you are not stuck. Let's say you are sitting at home and practicing. You should not be stuck because enough information is not there. The assignment will have a lot of information so that you can proceed yourself. And the good part with the assignments is 80 to 90% of the assignment topics are discussed in the class itself. I mean, if you follow the lectures properly, if you attend the sessions properly, you can complete each and every question because 80% of that is already done in the class. I mean, if I'm showing you this example, I would have done this question already in the class. And all I am expecting you to do is you go home and do it yourself without referring to my code. Similarly, every assignment you take, there will be such a detailed document will be there. So like that, Verilog will have almost 22 assignments. And most of these assignments, you will get the support during the session. Means there will be a trainer. Like I have done the topic today. For example, I have done combinational logic today. Tomorrow's session will be the lab session focused on that topic, where trainer will be going through each question. Okay, he will be taking this question and he will ask you to do wherever you are stuck. The doubt will be, if I'm online students, how will I get the support? I can make a student a presenter here. I can go here. When I right click to a student, I get an option to make that student a presenter. Okay, those attending online can't see because it's an application that I'm using. So you won't see the application. But what I'm trying to tell here is I can make every student a presenter. And I can see their screen, what they're doing. And even I can take the control. See, when I right click, there is an option where I can take the control of that screen, their screen, and I can easily help them debug it. So in summary, even if you are attending in classroom, even if you are attending in online, the level of support will not differ at all. I mean, you will get the same support in online also. You'll get the same support in offline. Only thing is, in offline, I can go to the desk and check what is the issue you're facing. In online, everything happens by sharing of the screen. I can make you the presenter. I can see what is the issue you're facing and I can support you. Now, the good part here is there is a live session every day. Because there is a live session every day, whatever doubts you have today, you can clarify all those doubts in the next session. Many times we don't keep any dedicated doubt sessions, anything like that. If students have doubt, whatever is the time required, we'll keep all that session for doubts only. I won't go with the plan that today I have to compulsorily finish this topic. The very first thing that happens during any session is the doubt clarification. If it takes 10 minutes, if it takes 1 hour, doesn't matter. We will clarify all the doubts. Then we will go to the topics. And since you get access to the recorded videos, you can always revise the topics. This is a brief about it, and the course can be done in, okay, this is for those who are attending full week training. What about who want to attend weekends only training? I mean, someone is working and they want to attend only weekends only training. For them, so for weekends only training, Training will be on Saturday and Sunday, around 4 hours each day, and all complete course recorded videos provided for entire duration. What do we do for entire course duration? We'll provide all the videos. Now since they are working professional, they will have, those who are attending in weekends only mode, they are working professional, they'll have time only in the evenings or in the mornings. They can go through those things during the weekdays anytime they get free. Saturday and Sunday there will be live training sessions. Now you may say, here we are doing for 6 days, here we are only doing for 2 days, how can it be covered? We can't redo everything. See, whatever we did for 6 days, we can't do it in 2 days. But then having said that, I can't keep it 8 hours. The problem is, already 1 hour we are done, right? Can you sit this session for 8 hours? Right? Whatever I'm teaching, will you be able to listen to my lecture for 8 hours? No, right? Even if I tell you that I'll teach you for 4 hours, 4 hours, let's do labs, you won't be able to do. See, for 1 week you can do, for 2 weeks it's possible. 8 hours in a day is possible. For 6.5 months, this schedule is not possible. Sitting whole 8 hours, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., Saturday, Sunday, 6.5 months, it won't work actually. So what we decided is that plan doesn't work. So rather what we do, we keep it only 4 hours. Revision, doubt clarification, lab session support, everything. The complete course recorded videos will be provided so that you can watch at any time. Okay, then you have a dedicated trainer connected for doubt clarifications during the weekdays also. So this is the division between weekend training and full week training. Now the course can be done completely in offline, 100% offline. You can do online. You can do in hybrid mode, means part of the course offline, part of the course online. And we generally won't even ask, are you doing offline or offline? Online. How it works? You are anyway, once you are joined, you are added into a WhatsApp group. In the WhatsApp group, you keep getting the links. If you want to attend online, you will use the link to attend the session online. If you are attending offline, you come to the institute and attend. For both the courses, timings are same, because now I am teaching offline, you don't see any difference, right? For online students also, they don't see any difference because I don't use the board. Whatever I have to do, I use the monitor only. I mean, whatever I have to draw everything, I'll use the monitor. So there is no difference. So the point is, you can switch. Let's say someone attending from outside Bangalore and they want to visit institute for 1 week or 2 weeks, and then they want to go back because they don't want to stay at Bangalore. They can do that very much. So all that is possible. And whenever you need the job support and you want to be in Bangalore, you can move to Bangalore. But if you ask me which is the best mode of learning, which one is best mode of learning? Always offline is always better than online. But as I said, the difference is very minimal. Difference is very minimal. I would say online is almost like 95% of offline. There will be a variation of 5% because here when you are offline, you can directly walk to the trainer and get your doubts clarified, everything. Okay. So this is a very brief about how the training goes. The only last thing I want to tell is what is difficult part of training. The difficult part of training is things move very quickly. And by the time you realize that something has started, that is already ended and some new topic has already started. So you have to be focused every day to keep in sync with the trainer. You can't be relaxing like seeing college. What do we typically do? We can always prepare 1 week before the exam and get the required marks. 70% can be, you can get, because generally in college what happens is there is a set of question. You know how the marks are distributed, each topic, which topic, you know that. By preparing that, you can score at least 65 to 70% can be scored. Here it will be different. I will tell you one thing, what you learn over 2 years time frame, 2 years of BTech. You take any 2 years, it can be first year, second year, third year. That much learning happens in 6 years. roughly what you learn over 2 years of your BTech or BE, that much learning you will do over 6.5 months of duration. What do we mean by that? For example, you learn digital design over one semester, but every day one hour, right? Every day one hour, roughly you learn it over one semester. What is the advantage you have in college for that? You have one full semester to prepare on digital design. Here what happens is 3 weeks fully focused on digital design, and the digital design you do is almost 4 times of what you do in BTech. Whatever you did in BTech, almost we do 3 to 4 times of that, and that you are doing in a very short duration. This is the major challenge I see with the people who join this course. You understanding the problem I'm telling? You don't get the semester time. One semester means you have time to grasp the concept. Here, assumption is that since you have already completed BTech, you have done digital design during BTech, you would be good with the basic fundamentals. So we have to finish in 3 weeks. Because why? Anything I increase here, instead of 3 weeks, if I make it 5 weeks, what happens? This will increase. Instead of 7 weeks, if I try to, again, very long, how will you learn? One full semester, right? You have time over one semester to learn small aspects of the very long. Here, again, you will learn almost 3 to 4 times more than what you did in BTech. Definitely, when you go through the course, you'll understand. When I say the term 3 to 4 times, you'll realize that what I mean by that. You will learn 3 to 4 times more than what you did in BTech in a 7 weeks duration. But that 7 weeks is completely focused on Verilog only, no other topic. So the challenge is coping up with the quick pace of the course is the challenge. Now, if you ask me why don't you make it slow, then I have to do it for one full year. People don't have so much patience to attend over 1 year, and people want job in 6 months, right? That's how the course works, right? That is how it works. Now, in this case, what we do is many times at the end of every topic, let's say there will be an evaluation test. There will be evaluation test. There will be evaluation test. There will be evaluation test. At every stage, there will be an evaluation test. If you don't perform well in the given evaluation test, we make you repeat the topic. And we keep with some minimum percentage criteria. You have to score at least 50% or 60% based on how the question paper is. We make you repeat the course, because unless you are good with digital and Verilog, you can't learn system Verilog properly. Unless you are good with system Verilog, you can't learn UVM properly. Unless you are good with system Verilog and UVM, you can't do these things properly. So everything is kind of interlinked. Means if you say, okay, I finished Verilog, but I don't know anything, can I do system Verilog? No. It's like the relation between C and C++. Without having proper C fundamentals, can you learn C++? No, right? Same is the relation here. So at every stage, we'll be having evaluation test. Other than that, we will be giving you a lot of assignments. So you can see there is a assignments here. Assignment 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, all these things. Do you see? We'll be giving a Google Drive link for each and every student. There will be a link, dedicated link for each and every student. You will be submitting all your assignment solutions into Google Drive, and this is monitored regularly to see how we are progressing. Many times we see students who don't submit anything at all. We tell them multiple times. At one stage, if they don't do at all, we tell them that there is no placement support. If you don't follow the basic guidelines, there is no placement. I mean, we don't try to discourage. Idea is not to discourage. Idea is to tell them that where you are stuck, why you are not able to do the assignments. And even after having the live sessions, let's say we are doing live support sessions also. Assignments are not something student sits at home and do. He can do at home, and there will be dedicated sessions every 2 days where you are doing support assignments with a trainer guidance. Even after that, if you don't do, then we tell that there won't be any support, in that case placement support. So this will also be monitored regularly, and your performance will be evaluated based on this evaluation test, and based on that you will be completing the course. Sometimes it may so happen that instead of 28 weeks you may take 35 weeks. Some student may take 35 weeks to do. Idea is not the completion of the course here. Idea is when you are passing out of the institute, you should be good technically. You took, let's say you may have taken 5 months, you may have taken 6 months, you may have taken 8 months, but at the end of the duration you should be good with the subject. So for that we do this process, we follow this process where we do the evaluation test, and we check your performance based on the assignments, and we'll also be having some presentation sessions. Typically most of the people who join the training, they don't have the required communication skills, I mean the way of presenting the things, and that is not something you learn in a day. Let's say tomorrow interview is there, you can't learn it today. It need to be learned over a period of time. So what we do is we will be having presentation sessions. Who will be presenting? Student presentation session, at least one per month, at least. Generally we are planning to do two. Basic presentation, I mean given a simple presentation like this, how do you explain this topic to the other participants? That way what happens, it helps you develop that basic confidence. It helps you prepare for interviews. At least you know how to present yourself, how to explain a given topic. Okay. What is the time now? Let us take a break now. Okay. We will meet in 15 minutes. That's around 11 a.m. Let's meet. Once we meet after the break, we'll continue with the further things. And mostly the later part of the session, I'll give a very brief about what is functional verification, and we'll go into question and answers. Those who are from DFT domain, who are interested in DFT domain or FPGA kind of domains, you can actually log off from the session. There will be a dedicated session tomorrow for both the domains, and any other questions I'll be addressing after the break. Once we meet after 15 minutes, I'll be addressing all the other questions. Mostly the session after the break will be focused on question and answers. Okay. Let's meet in 15 minutes. So let us resume the session. Class is not over. We have taken a break. Okay. Now we are starting with the session again. So I was giving you a brief about uh, what is VLSI domain and what are the two major aspects: front end domain and back end domain. And front end domain, I was specifically referring to functional verification training. And typically, there is one more flexibility with the course here is, for example, you join into front end domain. There is a 2 month period, up to 2 months. You can switch to any other domain because 2 months is the time where you know whether you like the domain or not. Let's say you join into functional verification training. You start with, by 2 months, what you would have finished? You would have finished digital design, and you would have finished basics of Verilog. At least some good amount of Verilog you would have done. By then, you know whether you are interested in front end domain or you are not interested. There's always an option: you can switch to physical design or you can switch to DFT without any additional cost. Okay. Now, will you lose 2 months? You won't lose 2 months here because you'd have all, digital design is anyway common for both front end and back end, right? You'd only lose around 5 weeks, 5 to 6 weeks of time. By that time, a new batch will be starting. So you will be joining into the new batch of other domain. Mostly people don't do this. Mostly people don't switch. But then as an institute, we provide with a flexibility where you are able to switch to the other domain. And one more thing is, going forward, and we wanted to give the printed copy of the materials, but going forward from this batch, we will be giving the material because we are finalizing on the cover page. The book requires cover pages, right? Material is there anyway, presentation, assignments, everything is there. Once it is done, we'll be giving the hard copy of the course material to all the people, including online students and offline students. Those attending online will be sending it over courier or post. Okay, that's the plan. uh, uh, this is about very brief about the training overview, how the course will be scheduled, everything. And I've given the overview how the training will be scheduled, everything. Okay. I think now we can start with the question and answers. And before that, a brief about what is functional verification. Just for 5 minutes, I'll talk. Okay, I won't go deep into it. What is functional verification? It is the process of checking whether the RTL Verilog code. See here at this stage, Verilog code is developed. You see who develops the RTL code? The Verilog code, RTL design team. Whether they have done it properly or not, process of finding that is called as functional verification. Like if I give you this thing and tell you whether this, let's say this, assume that this is a Verilog code, and tell you whether, check whether this Verilog code is working fine. You can't do it by going each line and tell this line is good, this line is good. You can't do that way. There is some systematic process you have to follow where you take the code, you apply some inputs, you get some output, you check whether this output is coming properly or not. You take a design, you apply some inputs, you get the output, you check whether that output is coming properly or not. To do this whole process, you develop something called as test bench. This will become the design that we are verifying. Around that, we develop something called as test bench. The overall that is called as test bench environment. Something like this we do. This diagram. To start with, it will look very confusing for you. Most of you, this will look quite confusing, but you will realize that it's not so difficult actually. I mean, it's because it's not something you need to learn over one day. It will be learned over a period of 6.5 months. So hence, things will not be so difficult for you. As a verification engineer, we are trying to develop all these things. A design engineer will develop this thing. This whatever other thing I have mentioned will be developed by the verification engineer. Is that clear? Okay. So to do this development, we use languages like SV and UVM. This is developed in Verilog generally. So that's where we are going to learn system Verilog. We are going to learn UVM. Then we will learn how to develop these components, how to connect them. All these things we'll be learning during this flow. Okay. So since we will learn it over 6.5 months, it will be quite easy for you. So I don't want to go deep into it because again, for me to explain what is generator, what is BFM, what is monitor, what is reference model, it will be quite confusing for a short session like today's. As we go to the topics, we'll introduce. Even when people start training, I can't teach this in initial 1 month because people don't know what is digital design, people don't know what is Verilog. I can't introduce to complex topic. Typically we start with this topic sometime after 2.5 months actually. 2.5 to 3 months after the training starts, we introduce them to this topic. Okay, that's something we'll discuss as we go forward. Now, so this is a very brief about it. And anyone facing issue with my audio? Is my audio good?
Yes, sir, it's good.
Yeah. So you start posting the questions in the chat window. Either you can ask the questions or preferably post your questions in the chat window. Okay. So as an average student, okay. So you can post any questions that you may have. I'll write down all the questions and I'll answer all of them one by one. So the first question, as an average student, which one need to choose, front end or back end? Okay. See, as a basic guideline, what I have seen is if someone has percentage below 60%, example, mostly you will have more than 60%. If you have 60% less than that, by default go for front end course. Because in front end course, what happens is, in front end domain, what happens is, there are relatively more companies compared to back end domain. Why is it so? I mean, what I'm trying to tell, there are more opportunities in front end domain compared to back end domain. Why is it so? Is more means it's not like 1:10 like that. Some 20 to 30% more opportunities are there in front end. Even today, when we see the placement record tracking, we see more placements happening in front end domain. Why is it so? Is it's easy to set up a company in front end domain. If you are a little bit familiar with the VLSI design flow, front end domain you need only one tool, one simulator, either QuestaSim or VCS, or only one tool is required. That also people can get easily. There is right now, I mean, in the licensed manner only you can get free tools also. Backend requires at least 5 tools. Whatever you do, you require many tools, not like five, any one of five. No, all 5 tools are required. Requires investment of at least 2 crores minimum. To set up any company, you require a minimum of investment of 1 or 2 crores minimum. Without that, you can't even think of starting anything in backend domain. Whereas in front end domain, without any investment, only you need to invest in the people. Let's say I'm hiring 10 people, I need to pay the salaries to them, I can start. So that's where generally what I've seen is there are more people starting things in front end domain compared to back end domain. My observation, okay, now I don't know how what other person feels. So when there is a startup, they can't be very choosy, right? They can't tell that I will only hire 90% student with 90%, because student with 90% will go to Qualcomm. He would don't want to join into small company. So that's where they don't keep much restriction. The startups won't keep much restriction. They're okay to hire anyone as long as the person is good with the technical skills fundamentals. That's where I have seen for a person to start career, it is relatively easier in front end domain. Now when it comes to back end, when I say back end, I mean physical design, sometimes I mean DFT, custom layout. They always keep percentage criteria, at least 60% or at least 65% throughout the academics. There, if someone has less than 60%, many times their resume doesn't even get shortlisted. See, you will clear the interview only when you get the opportunity, right? If your resume doesn't even get shortlisted, you don't even attend the interview. Then there is no chance of you going to the further stage. So in those cases, if someone has less than 60%, I encourage them, strongly encourage them to go for front end course. And you should have little inclination for programming. If you don't have any programming interest, you don't even like at all, then better to go for back end domain. Now when it comes to the training, everything will be taught from the basics. See, when we teach any subject, let's say if I'm teaching, see, one of the batches, let's say I have done May 2022 session 1, I would have started with the very basics, full adder 1 bit, uh, everything from the basics only. We would have start how to implement a 1 bit full adder, how to implement a half adder, how to implement a basic multiplexer. That level only would have started. We wouldn't have started with 100 lines code like that. So things will not be so complex. Even if you don't have any prior programming knowledge, even if you don't have any prior programming language, you didn't do C, C++ anytime, you can still learn coding here. All that you require is that dedication over complete 6.5 months time. Many times people join for 2 3 weeks or 1 2 months, they are focused. After that they lose the focus. The course requires you to be focused for entire 6 months duration, then you get a job. Okay, so you should not worry that I can't do programming. That you don't need to do. See, what we are giving option is you join the course. If you are not able to cope up to 2 months, you can switch to any other domain. I hope this is clear to you. So as a friend, as an average student, which one need to choose? I would suggest you start with front end. If you don't like front end up to 1 or 2 months, you can always switch to backend. Now you may say I'm going to lose 1.5 month. That's not a losing, because whatever you do over initial 2 months also, it's a learning for you. Like even when you learn Verilog, it's a learning. You are going to learn some programming, how to run a simulator, how to develop a code, how to develop a test bench. That will be useful for you going forward also. Let's say even if you join into backend and switch to front end, whatever you did in backend is a learning for you, because you would have learned what is FinFET, what is CMOS, what is MOSFET, what is fabrication. That knowledge always is very useful for you. Next, second question. Is schedule for functional verification for freshers and working professionals same? It is different, right? Okay. Again, someone who is working, they can't attend during the weekdays, right? They will only attend during the weekends. So someone who is looking for working professional course, I mean experience course, for them mostly the training will be this model. I gave you the second model, right? You'll have dedicated sessions on Saturday and Sunday. Complete course recorded videos will be provided to you for entire duration of the course, and you will have a dedicated trainer for doubt clarification during the weekdays also. I mean, weekdays or weekends, anytime you'll have the session. And one thing what we are going to do is, for each of you, every student who joins into the course, we'll be creating one dedicated WhatsApp group. Like you see here, I may have created dedicated WhatsApp group. 6052, for example. The student name is Irsat. He joined in June 2022. Okay. So whatever doubts he require, he posts the questions here. Okay. Uh, he posts the questions here, and that we set up a session to, I mean, if required, we keep a dedicated session to clarify their doubts. Like this, if you ask how many enrollments would have happened since June, every student, let's the current enrollment number would be somewhere. One number I see is 6,368, or I see 6,400 also I see. That means around we had 400 enrollments in last 2 months. Uh, I mean, see, it's not just for verification course, it's not just for PD. There are some small enroll course also, like DDR protocol training, PCI Express training, GLS training. I mean, it doesn't matter whether student enrolls for 6 months course or 1 month course. Always this kind of dedicated WhatsApp group is created. Uh, every student has a dedicated. Yeah. Okay. So there you can post all your support requests. Now the good thing about WhatsApp is it's quickly, I mean, right, whether the other person has seen the message or not. So there's always you get a quick response. Through mails, what happens is there's always a delay. You send me a mail today, there's a chance that I'll reply to you tomorrow. So this WhatsApp group, individual WhatsApp group, ensures that you get a quick support. It could be technical, it could be non-technical. That is about the second part. So I hope this is clear. Uh, are you going to tell about backend? So if you are looking for backend training, tomorrow, that is 21st August, around 9 a.m., there will be a demo session. There will be a demo session at 9 a.m. tomorrow. You can attend that one. That will be focused on the backend flow, physical design, those things. Uh, Timings for weekend training. Mostly, see, what we do is most of the batches we target for 9:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. timings. Most of the batches. If this doesn't work, we go for 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. Now, can all sessions be done only in the morning? No, right? Trainer need to be utilized sometime in the afternoon also, right? Because I can't keep a trainer only for mornings. So sometimes training can happen in 2 p.m. to 6 p.m., but mostly we try for morning only. Either of these, don't think that both, because again, even if, I mean, this is very hectic. I mean, for anyone to attend full 8 hours in a day is very hectic, not possible. Placement process. See how the placement process works is, generally once the training is completed, in the 6th month of the training, we create a WhatsApp group. We have a WhatsApp group for every domain, let's say DV job support group, into which all the students are added. I mean, all the admins are present, our institute admins are present, and other than that, we have the student who requires the job support. I mean, currently there are 40 participants. I mean, if I remove the 10 admins, I mean, placement support, HR group, everything, there will be around 30 participants who require support. These 30 participants are the people over last 2.5 years. What I'm telling, showing this number 30 is not the people from last batch or the previous batch. Everyone is added into this group. See, someone who joined in August 21, someone who joined in August 21, someone who joined in December 21, someone who joined in February 21. So like that, there can be people joined in different times. All of them will be added into this group. See, someone you see. Uh, okay, now what we do is, in this group we keep posting the requirements. Like some company has around 20 requirements, they have to fill the specific form. So when the student fills this form, uh, they, like, see, when this form is filled, see how many people filled that form. Only 3 people filled that form. So this information we collect, and that will be shared along with their resumes. See, the student also fills the resumes. These resumes will be shared with this company. Profile summary, the spreadsheet, and the resumes will be shared. Then what company will do is, then they will take it forward. They will conduct the written exam, and they will conduct the telephonic interview for this candidate. Now, if you ask me how many people are applied for this, These are the only 3 people who applied. Okay. And there is no selective thing like, oh, these people will get opportunity, these people won't get opportunity, nothing like that. Everyone is added into this group. There's only one group for DV job support group. Similarly, if I go PD job support group,
అట్టే
there's only one
పెట్టేస్తావు
people.
మరి సందులో.
So there will be around 49 participants. Again, this includes all the people who joined in December 2021, February, January 22. I mean, if I see the list, it could consist of people over last 2 years also. I mean, someone who passed out 2 years back also, we might be supporting. Okay. Similar to that, there will be a DFT job support group. How many are there? 11. If I remove my admins, only 3, 4 will be there here. Again, layout for every thing, one group is there. Okay, now going back to DV, how does the DV job support work here? How many opportunities do we get? I mean, you will get all the summary here itself basically. If I go here, see, this is one company that came yesterday. This one company that we provided opportunity. I mean, these are all the things which I posted over last few weeks. Okay, these people joined 1 week ago into this group. We keep posting the requirements here and people apply for the jobs. Yeah, I mean, you can see that we keep posting requirement, one requirement on 4th August, few requirements and 2 requirements on 1st of August. I mean, again, multiple requirements on 1st August. Multiple requirements on 29th of July. Some requirements on 24th of July. So you see there is a lot of companies hiring currently. Only thing here is all these companies, not all these companies are paying 7 lakhs, 6 lakhs, 5 lakhs also. Some companies are paying 20,000. Some companies may be paying 50,000, 15,000. Also, some companies may be paying 40,000 also. Important thing in VLSI is getting into industry is important actually. Starting salary is not very important. Okay, what is important over for a fresher is the work you do is very important. Initial 2 3 years, the kind of work you do is more important than the salary, because you will find people in the industry who might have started with 10,000 per month. After 10 years, same person can be earning 50 lakhs per annum. I mean, 10,000 per month means what? Around 1.2 lakhs per annum. 1.2 to 50 means almost a jump of 40 times, right? 35 times or something. At least 40 times. It is possible, quite possible, right? So the starting salary doesn't matter. Even if you had started at 30, 40 doesn't matter. 10. What matters is how much you learned over these 10 years is what matters. The starting salary doesn't really make a big difference to start many times, because in VLSI, what happens is that the hike when you move from one company to other company, hike is not in percentages. Hike is absolute numbers. Like you have a 3 years experience. Let's say you are earning 3 lakhs per annum now, and you have 3 years experience. Totally, company will minimum pay you 9 lakhs per annum. They won't say that I will pay you 4.5 lakhs. That is 50% hike over current salary. They won't pay, because why they don't pay is there are many companies who are willing to hire. See, if someone offers 4.5 lakhs, immediately someone else will offer 5 lakhs per annum. Instead, company don't want to really waste in that. They directly offer you 9 lakhs so that you are serious about joining them. You're getting in software, it happens like 50%, 30% hike that will happen. In VLSI, they pay you on absolute terms. Like you have 4 years experience, you are very good, they pay you 30 lakhs also. I have some students from our institute only, who with 2.5 years experience, he was able to get 28 lakhs. And just giving the numbers so that it motivates you that you should not think about what is my starting salary many times, because that number can immediately change in a 1 year or 2 years. You can immediately, that number can change significantly. Getting into a good company is what is more important. I mean, not the company. Good work, doing good work is more important. Learning the subject is more important. Once you have the strong fundamentals with what you did, you can always find better opportunities. Okay. I'm just showing you here to see that, show that there are opportunities actually. I mean, there are many companies, even Samsung was hiring, Capgemini was hiring. If you see down, Capgemini was hiring. So there are a lot of companies. We almost have close to 100 companies who hire from us. Around 10 product companies, remaining all are services company. So this is the common placement support process. Okay. Any questions? The same process applies for all the other domains. Once a person gets a job, that person is removed from the group. Uh, any other questions? Let's see. Custom layout means what? Please be in mute, online students. Venki, please be in mute. Okay. So let's see the recent placements. So we had placements in some product companies like on semiconductors. I'm talking about the significant bigger companies. We had around three placements there. The salary was, I think, around 14.5 lakhs per annum. They paid very well. Then there was one placement, two in mentor graphics for intern role. They were paid almost 8 lakhs per annum. Mostly the remaining things are services based companies. Like there were three placements in Wipro. They might have paid around 3 or 4 lakhs. And in some cases, someone would have got in as an experienced person. Like someone was working as a faculty in a college. In this case, the company has hired them as an experienced professional. So I can't reveal the salary terms here because for experience I can't tell. These were fresher salaries. Okay. Then there were companies like smaller companies like Chip Spirit, then USD Global. They're almost USD even Sientra, Saint. There are multiple companies who have hired in last 2 to 3 months. Capgemini keeps hiring regularly. I mean, I would say in Capgemini we had 15 placements in last 2.5 months. This is the placement summary. Mostly here the salary would have been around an average of 4 lakhs. Here the average is different because when you get into product companies, the salary will be higher. Service companies, salary will be at a lower side. Custom layout means what? Okay, I mean, custom layout means uh, basically I told you that in VLSI backend domain we have synthesis, then we do DFT, then we do physical design, then we do STA. See, by the time you are done with STA, the circuit, the design is still in terms of logic gates only, right? Means you did physical design, you did STA on what? Logic gates, right? AND gate, OR gate. Finally, when you purchase any electronic product, it is not the gates you are purchasing, that consists of transistors. This design, which is in logic gates, need to be converted into transistor level. That process of implementing the whole circuit at transistor level is what we call as custom layout. Now, the custom layout itself is divided into multiple aspects. Layout that is done for standard cells, standard cell layout, memory layout, analog layout, IO layout. I mean, if you take any design, there can be 4 types of components in any design. Any design you take, there can be 4 types of components. One can be standard cells, other can be memories. My electronic product can have memories inside it. Third can be analog components like DAC, ADC, PLL, band gap reference, LDOs, differential amplifiers, right? Then you can have IOs like general purpose IOs. There can be different types of IOs. So if the layout is targeted for standard cells, that layout will be called as standard cell. So the process of converting the design which is in terms of logic gates into final layout, I mean you bring it at the transistor level, is what we call as the custom layout. I hope it is clear. Who is the person who asked this? Jagadish, is it clear to you? Okay. How can we cover, the next question is what, how can we cover syllabus in just 8 hours per week, but weekdays batch will get 24 hours? I answer this question? What I said, it is not possible to do that. It's not possible to cover entire course in 8 weeks. I told you that you will get complete course recorded videos for the entire duration. Let's say today is Monday, you have a time, you can go through the videos. Okay, if some institute tells you that we'll only do weekends only training and will make you expert in 6 months, it is impossible, because it requires time. I mean, getting expertise doesn't happen automatically. Let's say someone gets IIT 100 rank. Okay, does it happen automatically? How he got 100 rank? He spent time. How much spent you have time to prepare physics? At least 1000 hours, or at least 500 hours. To prepare chemistry, at least 100 hours, 500 hours. Mathematics, another 800 hours. Then only that much expertise comes that you are able to get a 100 rank. Here also, by spending only weekends, it's not possible. I mean, you can't even sit like that. For that matter, you can't spend 8 hours in a day. Can I sit from morning 9 a.m. to 6 p.m.? It's not possible. I can try for 1 week. After second week, you will say it's not. No, I don't want. So mostly these weekend sessions are for support purpose. I mean, revision. Like we give you schedule. This week you need to complete these topics. You go through that corresponding videos. Okay. Those corresponding topics will be discussed during the weekends, and whatever assignments and the lab support, everything will be provided during the weekends. And whenever you are going through the videos, you are stuck, there will be a dedicated trainer for doubt clarification during the weekdays also. This is how it's going to work. So I'm not telling that we are going to redo everything in the weekend. It's not possible. I hope it is clear. Which tools are used for during SV and UVM project? Do we cover waveform debugging also? Yes, we will be using majorly QuestaSim tool. QuestaSim is from Mentor Graphics, and we'll be using at times VCS tool. During some part of the training, initial 2 months of the training, we'll be using Model Sim. That is also from Mentor Graphics. Because from a Verilog perspective, both Model Sim and QuestaSim are same, exactly same. And the good thing is Model Sim is freely available. You can install in your own laptop and use it. But when it comes to QuestaSim and VCS, it need to be provided to the institute server. You will be getting login to the institute server, and through that you will be practicing it. So these are the tools which will be used during the training. And yes, we will be doing one industry standard project. I told you, right? During the third phase of the project, we'll be doing one industry standard project. During that time, you will be getting exposure to waveform debugging also. Now, those who are new to this term waveform debugging, what is meant by that is when you run a big design, generally a waveform will come up. I mean, the signals with how the things are changing with the time will come up. We need to debug what is going wrong. So that requires us to do the something called as tracing. We need to trace where is this issue coming from, where is that issue coming from. That is called as waveform debugging. We do almost waveform debugging every session. Waveform debugging is done for that matter. But when we go to the main project, we do this more effectively, because bigger is the design, more complex will be the issues. It will be more easy to, I mean, we'll have more things to debug there. So answer is yes, we do this thing. And let me tell you, that will be the very differentiating factor for you. I mean, those who are attending the training, that main project will be a very important and differentiating factor, because there you are going to get a feel which is very much similar to what you do in the industry. I enrolled for System Verilog course and functional verification, but I would like to do both digital design and Verilog too. Also, I would like to enroll for weekend batch. How do I convert it? See, there will be a dedicated WhatsApp group created for you. Mostly, you post this request in that group. So there is an admin present in that group. I mean, every group you are added, admin is present. So admin will check that message and he will support you with digital design and Verilog also. And you can post the same that you want to switch to weekend batch. Admin will support you with everything. Which one is difficult, functional verification or physical design? Now tell me, someone tell me which one is difficult. It depends from person to person, right? You can't say functional verification is difficult, you can't say physical design is difficult. Depends upon what is your interest. Let's say you are interested in programming kind of job, you're okay with that, then functional verification is easier. Again, like in physical design, you have to learn everything starting from fundamentals of semiconductors, IC fabrication, how the RC circuit will work. All those fundamentals you should be good with. Then physical design will be fine, right? So there, nothing like anything is difficult. If you ask me, at this point of time, if some person is not getting job in the institute, why he is not getting job? Is it because subject is very difficult? It's not that reason. They don't have the motivation at all. I mean, the person who don't get job at this point of time. I mean, I'm not telling 3 years back. 2019 was a very tough phase. Jobs, job opportunities were very bad at that time. I mean, even to, I mean, I showed you almost 30 opportunity, 20 opportunities in last 1 month, right? One and a half month. For whole year, we may have got only 20 opportunities in 2019 because the market was not hiring. The companies were not hiring. In 2021 January onwards, till date, best hiring time actually. I mean, we are having hiring every 2 3 days, at least every 2 3 days there is a company coming. since January 2021. I mean, maybe somehow it's related to the COVID, but we had a best hiring scenario. Not only our institute, every institute you go, you will see that level of hiring. Now, if someone during this period, if someone is not getting a job, it means the person is very negligent. He is not spending any time to do the basic coursework. He is not working on any of the assignment. Only then people don't get job. Otherwise, even if the person is very average, companies are okay to hire because the companies are not getting the people. Now the trend is has changed where over last 6 to 7 months, companies are paying the fee for student. So what is happening is we are approaching companies telling that we will select the candidates, you sponsor the candidate training cost. Companies are doing with the condition that with the bond that the student will join into that company. That is the difficulty companies are facing today. In some company, what is happening? Company is sponsoring the training cost. Company itself is paying every month some stipend to the candidate. Again, with the condition that candidate has to join the company after training completion, and he has to stay with the company for at least 2 to 3 years. So I'm telling you that is the scenario currently. If people in this kind of scenario, if person is not getting a job, it's purely because the candidate is not having any focus at all. Or you have to have a proactiveness. Let's say you don't understand the things, you are attending the session. If you sit to yourself and you don't tell anything to the trainer, nothing happens. Either you understand. If you don't understand, you have to talk to the trainer and get the required support. So there is no specific answer which one is difficult. Everything is easy based on how you prepare. Can you tell brief about current market trends in backend roles? I think let's leave this question for tomorrow's session because mostly people are looking for front-end domain training. So let's keep this question for next session, tomorrow's session, because tomorrow's training will be completely focused on backend, right? So there the trainer will talk more into it. I am having experience into software domain, which will I be treated as a fresher if I change the domain? Now I need to know in which company have you worked? The person who asked this question, can you tell me in which company have you worked into?
Sir, I'm working in automotive domain
No, company name,
as a
company
consultant.
name.
Admin systems.
Okay. See how it works is, let's say you are working in automotive domain. If the company has any VLSI or embedded division, example, right? Then you
Yeah.
can show that as a relevant experience. You may have done something else. Let's say you may have done software job only, but what you can do is whatever training you undergo, let's say you undergo training in the functional verification here, you will be doing some projects. These projects down you see here, these projects will be doing as part of the training. Okay, you can show these projects as if you have done these projects in your company experience. Then you don't have to try as a fresher, you can try as a working professional. All that you will do is you will not show any training experience, you will not say that you have done any training. Whatever training you did, the projects you will show in as part of your work experience at the company. Then you can try as an experienced. And it is always good to, if there is a possibility, always good to try as an experienced person because you get more opportunities, you get better salary. In many cases, if you try as if you join as experience, you don't have to sign any bond. But if you go as a fresher, bond will be there many times. Shruti, is it clear to you?
Sir, it's clear. Thank you.
Is the course content and schedule for functional verification for freshers and experienced engineers is same? Because I see experienced engineers skip Verilog and digital design training. Okay, yeah. So Someone who is looking for, what is the difference between functional verification for freshers and experienced is, fresher course will involve all these topics. I gave you 3 phases. Will involve all these 3 topics. A fresher's course for experienced people, we only do these 2 topics. Not 11 weeks. We do these all topics. The difference is this much. And UVM is done more depth. UVM done is another, instead of 4 weeks, we do 9 weeks of UVM training. For an experienced person, we do 9 weeks of UVM training. Then you may ask, why are you skipping this? What is our assumption? If someone is already working, he would be good with digital design. He would be good with Linux basics. He would be good with Verilog. So that is the reason we skip these topics for experienced people, and we increase the duration of UVM to 9 weeks because we do more topics in UVM for them. Then let's say you are a working professional but into different domain, or you don't have this expertise, then you should go for fresher course only. Then you should start from phase 1. I hope it is clear. I am 2017 MTech pass out. What are the possibilities for placement? Uh, the placement scenario is good. I mean, I have seen people with even 2012 passed out also getting jobs. 2014 also passed out, also getting job. Not one job, multiple offers. Only difference is it doesn't really matter in the current market. Doesn't really matter which year of pass out you are. What matters is the subject expertise. I mean, how well you have learned the subject, and how do you perform in the interview is what is really mattering. Companies are literally behind. See, there is a company which is saying they want to hire around 20 candidates, right? I said they want to hire 20 candidates, and the number of people who applied for the job is, I showed you, around 3 people only applied for the job. So this is the level of desperation companies have. Now what is the problem is they somehow have to fill the 20 requirements. If not this institute, they'll go to some other institute and hire. They now, when they have to hire, they don't worry whether person is 2022 pass out or 21 or 17 pass out. As long as they get good person, they will hire. From a 2017 pass out perspective, a student who is 2017, he should not think that I should only get minimum 5 lakhs per annum. His perspective should be what? I should start my career. Once I start my career and I do well in the career, eventually after 1-2 years, I'll get a better salary. I hope it is clear. So there is no problem. I mean, you can still get a job easily if the current market continues, current market trend continues. If the things drastically change after 1 year or so, after 6 months, I can't say anything. So the basically how placement support works is, the placement policy works is, there is no commitment on which specific date you get job. There is no commitment that 1st January you will get, 1st February you will get, nothing like that. The placement support till you get job. It can be 2 months, it can be 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever could be the duration. As long as you need placement support, you get job. But I won't give a commitment that you will get job in February. I will get you placed by February. I'll get you placed by March. I can't, because it's not only my teaching that is impacting. It's the students' uh, preparation. How student does during the training also makes a difference. Next. If perform well in training, then after training only we get job. See, performing well in the training is a requirement, right? I mean, now, well, performing well is a relative term. What is performing well? Is it 100%? Is it 90%? Like, nothing like that. All you have to do is whatever trainer is asking you to do every day. Like, trainer gives you some assignment, I tell you complete assignment 1 in next 2 to 3 days. you have to put your best effort and complete that assignment. If you just follow, you don't really need to do extraordinary things. You don't need to purchase 10 books and start preparing 10 books. What trainer does tells you, just do that. At the end of 6.5 months, you will have a job. That much I can tell you. Many times people don't do that. I mean, people deviate, their attention deviates, they don't spend the time. That's where they don't get job. Otherwise, if you perform well in the training, yes, you will get a job. How placement support we are getting after course completion? I think I have explained you, right? You are added into a WhatsApp group. We keep posting all the job requirements, all the requirements in only into that group. Okay, that details will be shared with the company. The company will get in touch with the candidate. The candidate will write the exam and technical interview. After that, selection process. Once you get the job, mostly at once in a month or so, we keep removing people from the group. Timings for weekend classes, I told you, right? Mostly morning timings. Otherwise, sometimes afternoon timings also. Let's answer these questions. What is the minimum CGPA for getting the job? Actually, it's good to have 60% plus. If someone has 75% plus, 70% plus, or 75% plus, 75% plus, they get all opportunities. I mean, companies will come with a, there are few companies who come with the requirement saying that throughout the academics we need 75% plus. If you say 70% plus, 90% of the opportunities. How much would be for 65% plus? Maybe around 80% opportunities. Once below 60, sorry, below 60% means many times you lose the opportunities. Okay. Uh, but then there are some companies who don't care about percentage. I told you, right? I was giving you an example where for a front end course, if a company wants to hire and they don't find any people, what do they do? Like I showed you this example. What will this company do? If they don't get required people, what they will do? They will hire even if a person has 52%. They will still hire because they need the people. So it's good to have a better percentage, but even if you have a less percentage, let's say 50% also, for example, you should not think that I can't get job. You can get a job, but that 6.5 months have to be very dedicated effort. I mean, if someone has got a 50% for, let's say he doesn't have any personal issues and for some reason he got 50%, you need to assess why I got 50%, right? That need to be changed. That attitude need to be changed. I mean, you need to prepare more seriously, right? Then only you get job. If you come with the same attitude, why how you got 50%, then here also you won't get a job. See, someone who has got 80%, he's got 80% because he was consistent throughout the semesters, right? he will be consistent even in the 6 months of training also, then he has a better chance of getting that. But if you can change the attitude, I mean, you can put better effort during this training, you always stand to get a job. In one batch, how many people are getting selected? 45 per batch. Around how many people are getting selected? See, I'll give you our simple statistics. I'm not tracking on a batch basis because we don't create this group. The group which I created was not created on a per batch basis, because tracking on a per batch basis is very difficult for us. I mean, we start a batch once every 5 weeks. In a year, how many batches will be there? Roughly 10 batches will be there. In 2 years, roughly 20 batches. So the last batch was started in July. Verilog July was the batch that we started. So in that batch, let's say we have around 50 participants. I think if I leave aside some admins, there will be 40 participants will be there. Average, I would say around 30 to 35 per batch. If I take, it may go to around 350 students per year. Design verification. In 2 years, how many would be there? All these people, see, whoever needs a job support. Someone sometimes don't need a job support because he is already a working professional. He is only here for upgrading himself. So in those cases, they are not added into this DB job support. Among all those people I'm talking now, we may have trained anywhere between 500 to 700, because previous year might be little less due to COVID. This year might be little more due to we are out of COVID and people are joining the training. In all these 500 to 700 put together, these are the only people who require the job. 40, I mean, this 30%. This is how we track. We don't track this batch I had 45, out of that 90% like that. Rather, for me, it's more easy to track overall strength, because I don't, I mean, if I have to track 20 batches, I have to spend 20 hours. If I track all at once, I need to spend only 1 hour to track entire thing. Why this person is not getting job? What additional support he requires? So this is how we track. And for me, it's easy to post update, right? Instead of posting the requirement in all 20 batches every time, I keep posting update here. If you see this list also, this will have people from various batches. December 21, someone who joined in November 2020, right? uh, okay, so it just to show you that it's a single group which we have been maintaining for last 2 to 3 years. Okay. So if I have to give a statistics like that, I would say 95%. Around out of 700, 600, let's say around 30 people are left, it comes to around 95% people placed, assuming that someone who is working did not get any placement support. 5% is the people who are still left. I saw that pass out year also matters. So if I'm 2016 pass out, then the company does hiring on this criteria. As I told you, a 2016 pass out student will not get all the opportunities. Let's say Capgemini comes to hire today, they will not hire 2016 pass out candidate. Okay, they will ask for 2022, 2021, 2020 pass out only. Now, does it mean that 2016 pass out will not get any opportunity? They will get opportunity, but less than a fresher. So that is where you have to perform well and do. I mean, you have to do well in your training. Then there are also companies which hire only people with education gap. Actually, they won't hire freshers. Actually, there are some select companies, around 15 companies. What they do? They hire only the people with education gap. Then what they do is they internally train them, they project them as experienced people. I mean, see, 2016 pass out, right? In your case, the person who is asking, Hardik, he is working in one company. You can show that experience also as a relevant VLSI experience. Or in these companies, you they will hire you, they will show 2 years of your gap as relevant experience, and then they will project you to the client projects. So you still can get a job even if you are 2016 pass out. You can still get a job. It's all comes down to how do you perform. I am working as a faculty in engineering college. MTech passed out year is 2016. Can I expect placement support, and what is the minimum package I can expect? Okay. Now, someone who is working as a faculty in engineering college, we had a success ratio of 95%. I would say almost 100%. I mean, anyone who comes from an engineering college, their chance of getting into a VLSI job is almost 100%. Why is it so? Is being a faculty, being a teacher, they learn better compared to student. Faculty can learn better, right? Because they know what takes to teach. If I attend in a class, if I go and attend a class, I'll be very attentive because I know what is effort takes to teach. So I will look from the same perspective first. Second is they are already good with the fundamentals. If you are teaching, you are good with fundamentals, right? You may not be teaching system Verilog, you may not be teaching UVM, you will be teaching at least digital, CMOS. Once you are good with the fundamentals, learning advanced things is easy. That's second thing. Third thing is faculty is generally more stable. Say you can see faculty, wherever you studied, the faculty would have stayed there for 5 to 10 years. Most of the faculty under which in your colleges from where you have come, they would have been in that institution for at least 5 to 10 years, someone for even 15 years also. Companies always want stable people. Company don't want a person who will join today, after 6 months he will leave, right? Then the whole effort is gone. Whatever effort it takes to bring you up to that level is gone. So generally companies prefer hiring faculty. Then what companies will do is they will show your gap, whatever gap you have, as a experience. They will show that 2 3 years as a experience, and they will project you to the client place. That is where I had a very good experience with working professional, I mean, sorry, from a for a faculties. Now coming to the salary, for a faculty in long term, VLSI job is always better than being a faculty. See, as a faculty, my statistic shows that a lecturer in engineering college or a professor in engineering college, 10 years experience, might be getting anywhere between 50 to 60,000 per month. I mean, it could be plus or minus something, sometimes 40,000, sometimes 80,000, based on which college you are at. Same thing, a VLSI engineer, 10 years experience can get 40 to 50 lakhs per annum. I mean, 40 might be again on upper side, it can start with 30. So there is a significant difference in the salary. Now, initially you may start with less salary, because if you are 2016 pass out, you have 5 years experience, your current salary might be 40,000 or 30,000 or 35 or 40,000, something, whatever it be. You may have to start at a lesser salary only. You may have to start at 25,000 only. See, from 40, you may have to start at 25K, but it is still worth it, because next year you are going to, your salary is going to increase. And the salary grows very fast in VLSI domain compared to teaching. In teaching, hardly they grow at 5% or 10% in a year. That is where even after 10 years, the salary will be like this. Many times they don't even increment. So from a long-term perspective, even if you start at a lower salary to start with, it is better to switch into VLSI job, because over long term you can get better salaries. And the success ratio for faculty is almost 95. I'm not saying 100%, because there's always an exception, right? Some faculty came, he didn't do anything seriously, because he's already caught up with his personal things, then he wouldn't have got job. So I don't want to tell 100%, but my success ratio has been 95%, and all of them are currently doing very well in the jobs. I mean, I have at least 70 80 examples like this. I mean, even this person who asked this question, his name is Hardik. Okay, his friend is Alpesh, who referred him. Okay. He studies in Gujarat Charusat University. There is a university called the Charusat University. From that college university, 5 students came to me. All are faculty. All of them are into job, and all that happened over last 1.5 years. Last 1.5 year, one person got job through this his reference. His other colleague came, and all of them got a better salaries only compared to whatever is was there in teaching domain. They were able to get better salaries. And again, some 3 years back, some three faculty came from Nagpur. All of them are into jobs now. Now, two of them works into Qualcomm as a permanent employee there after 5 years. I have 12 years of teaching, possible to switch over to industry. Please, yes. Then you have to learn the subject, you should be able to move. Only thing is you should be willing to move at a lower salary, because your 12 years of teaching experience is not completely relevant for the job, right? Because in the job you require a different experience. So you may be, let's say your salary may be 70K, for example, you may be willing to move at 35K per month to start with. Eventually you get a better salary. So if you are able to, if you are okay to do this kind of adjustment with salary, you can get a job. But again, you should be dedicatedly preparing. I mean, job doesn't come just because you are a faculty. Job won't come. Only when you sit down, prepare and practice everything, you get job. Okay, I think we are done mostly with the questions. Is it necessary to cross 65-70% in engineering to get good LPA after 2-3 years? See, once you are experienced, your percentage doesn't matter. Once you are experienced, even if you are 50%, you have 50%, nobody really bothers so much. What they bother is how do you perform in the interviews. How is your subject, command over the subject is what matters. So this percentage is only till you apply as a fresher. Now then you may say I am 80%. Is my percentage waste? Nothing like that. You are 80% because you have been consistent throughout your academics. That consistency will stand up. If consistency won't go, you won't lose the consistency once you join the job, right? So if you have scored 80%, it's very good. You will maintain the same consistency in the job. Someone who scored less, they can get better, right, after some time. So the answer is what? It doesn't matter. After once you become experienced, your percentage doesn't matter. For working professional, timing for weekend class, I told you, right? Mostly 9:30 to 1:30 p.m. sometimes in the afternoon slot, because we divide the training into two parts, either morning slot or afternoon slot. Another 5 minutes will be done. 5-10 minutes. So we are done with all the questions. Any other questions you have?
So as you said earlier, yeah, for the functional verification, we'll be trying to write your test course for the VLR code, right?
Yes.
Suppose we are after a while we have to jump over RTL design team. Is there any additional learning for that?
Actually, see, RTL itself. See, the question is, he is asking question. Let's say he is working into functional verification domain. He wants to move to RTL team. How is it possible? Is it possible? Answer is yes, it is possible to move. You have to learn. RTL has two divisions. One is RTL design team. Second is RTL integration team. Now, to move into RTL design team, you don't need to know any other additional skill set. Very good expertise of Verilog is sufficient. If you want to move into RTL integration team, there will be something called as lint, CDC, UPF, synthesis, basic LEC. Some additional topics need to be learned. That can be learned from the training institutes. Like in our case, we offer this course. So through that, you can learn and you can move. It is possible. Okay, I personally never felt a need to move from. See, I worked in the functional verification for close to 13.5 years, even more than that, close to 14 years, I would say. Then I left my job and now I am full time into teaching. I never felt a need for moving from functional verification to RTL. I never felt a need, because in functional verification itself, you can make a full career. I mean, the whole 35 years of your career, you can be in functional verification domain only. You can get very good salaries and you can grow in the career also. Like you can start, let's say, start as an engineer, senior engineer, staff engineer, senior staff, manager, director. You can grow the complete roles in functional verification. So generally, there is no need to move to RTL team. And even in being in functional verification is better because you have more opportunities always. Any other questions? So what is it? I have 60% in BE, 77% MTech, whether they will consider BE or MTech. See, sometimes what happens is companies ask throughout the academics 60%. Then they will consider both BTech and BE and MTech, right? Sometimes they will say in highest degree 75%. Then they will consider MTech. So company to company it matters, right? But what I'm telling is now you can't really do anything about percentages, right? It's already done thing. So best is whatever you accept, whatever is your percentages, that is you just give your best effort for the next 6 months. Once you join the training, you give your best effort, then you will, that percentage will be offset. That won't become a problem, because once your preparation is very good, companies don't really bother so much about your percentages. uh, we have a tie up with many companies, even big services companies. Like sometimes we had almost in one case 45 placements into LTTS, L&T Technology Services. Synapse is hiring from us currently. Synapse is a big services company. I'm not talking Synopsys, I'm talking about Synapse company. Then UST Global is hiring. There is one company called as Scale Edge. Earlier it was Perfect VIPs. They also hire in bulk from us actually. What they do is they provide their candidates to us. What they do, they take freshers, they provide their candidates to us. I mean, in one case, in one batch, they have given me almost 75 people. What they did is they just hired 75 people from the freshers from various sources, even from our support. They just gave all that 75 candidates to me, to our institute, and we take them through the 6 months training. So we have almost such 10 to 15 types with the companies, where not only direct enrollments through the company, also they come and they undergo training with us. That's also happens with us. Okay. So this is about training. Any questions you have? Some more questions are there. I completed. I think we'll just address this. Let's address this question. Percentage means, is it CGPA into 10? See, sometimes what happens is in the certificates itself, they will mention 7.5 CGPA means 70% in the certificates. If they don't mention anything, we'll go with the multiplication of 10. If your certificate says that this CGPA means this much percentage, then that will be taken. Otherwise, if certificate doesn't say anything, certificate says that 7.5 CGPA will be treated as 75%, because that will be a better number, right? Instead of saying 70%. I completed biomedical engineering this year. Can I get good growth in VLSI? Someone from biomedical engineering, I don't suggest VLSI, because what happens when the requirements comes to us, they say BTech or B in triple E, ECE, instrumentation engineering or computer science. They will say we don't get any requirements for biomedical engineering. It will be very difficult. Okay, what the person who is looking for this, you can call me on my personal number. You can WhatsApp me on my personal number. I can help you with the details. But as a fresher, very difficult, because we can't even give any opportunities in that case. I am in front-end integration team. I have 3 years experience. If I shift to functional verification flow, will I be considered as a fresher in that role? So I'm in front-end integration team for 3 years. You want to switch to functional verification flow. Will you be treated as a fresher? Now what you have to do is you have to undergo training, 6 months of training. Whatever projects I showed you, see I showed you some projects, right? You need to remove your integration experience and you need to show this experience. These as the projects that you did during 2 years. Like 3 years you divide as 1 year plus 2 years. You showed these projects for 2 years. Then you can try as a 2 years experience person. That way you don't need to get in as a fresher. You can get in as a experienced person. People do that actually. Many times people do that when they want to switch the career. You're working as 3 years. Can you get in as a fresher again into a different company? No, right? People do whatever I said. will there be drop in the recruitments like in 2019 in the next 1 year? People are talking about recession in semiconductor industry. I really can't say anything about this. I mean, we can just only hope that things will be better, right? We can only hope Russia Ukraine war will not happen. We can only hope that recession should not happen. We can only hope that semiconductor industry in India will be good. We can only hope, right? We can't do anything really other than that. Same way as a student, what you can do, you can only prepare well with your subject. Rest all you don't have much control. Frankly speaking, you don't have much control, right? I mean, you can't impact the placement scenario. But if you give your best effort, even during the recession, there will be opportunities. Okay, but of course, the number of opportunities will be down. So I can't tell. I mean, whether recession will be there or not, whether market will be down or not, I can't tell. But as of today, even though there are people are talking about some recession somewhere, there are still opportunities we get. We do see some opportunities in the market, and a lot of opportunities. In last 1 month itself, we could see almost 12 to 13 companies who are hired from us. So things should be fine. It's a matter of patience. See, when the market is down, it's not only you, right? Your other friend, everyone is impacted. So you need to stay strong during that time, and you just need to focus on improving your expertise. Then you'll get it. I told you one example. I told you that one of my student who is having around 2.5 years experience. He got job. He got around 20 lakhs, 28 lakhs per annum. He was actually 2019 passed out. He didn't get job in 2019. Sometime in 2020 he got job. After 2 years he switched. Once he got job, he started with a job of almost 5 lakhs per annum that time. Once he got job, by 2022 April or so, he had this. It is possible in industry if you do very well. So what he did is, he didn't waste the 2019 to 20 time. He didn't waste. He was doing more advanced projects. He was improving his skill set. There are two approaches. One is you don't do anything and you think that placement will happen. Second is what, you spend time and improvise your skill set. Eventually you get a job. So if 2019 was bad, it was bad for everyone, not only for our institute, other institutes also. Even other institute, there was one institute I know where 500 people were waiting to get jobs. There was an institute in Bangalore who had almost 450 students who had to get a job in 2019. They can't do anything about that. So my point is, you should not worry about the recession. You should utilize that free time to improvise your skill set and prepare for a better jobs. I think we are almost done. Before that, in case you would like to enroll, so I just want to give one information. The training will mostly start from the Tuesday, that is 23rd of August. Training will commence. Now, why this 2 days break is to complete the enrollments. I think many of you have enrolled. Those who haven't enrolled, generally it's like today, tomorrow, and day after tomorrow is to complete your enrollments. And other thing is 21st August we are starting backend training, right? We initially for 3-4 weeks we merge both the batches. Like when we do digital, it's common for both of them. The basic GVim training, Linux training is common for both of them. We merge both the batches initial 3 to 4 weeks. Hence we give a gap so that even backend people will get time to complete the enrollments. That is where the training will start on 23rd August. Let's say even if it starts on 24th August, for example, only the delay is only for 1-2 days. Once it starts, you will not see any gaps. Okay, once it starts 23rd, 24th, whenever, there won't be any gaps. The gap is only for completing the enrollments. Don't think that why they are delaying, just for closing the enrollments and to provide the material, to provide the login details, everything. It takes time, right? That gap is for that purpose. Next. Okay, how to enroll? See, you can pay 5,000 INR to below account. This has the account details. To that you can pay and complete your enrollment. and the remaining fee can be paid in installment. I think our finance team or admin will inform you how to do that payment schedule. My suggestion is, in case you have decided to take up the course, don't wait for Thursday, Friday. I mean, no, I mean, please do not delay. It's like similar to missing 10 minutes of the movie. You go to a movie, you miss initial 10 minutes. How does it feel remaining movie? You always feel something is missed, right? You won't be able to get the complete movie flow. Same thing happens here. What happens is, if you miss 2 days of training, let's say, for example, that gap, you have missed some topics, some 7-8 hours topics. 7-8 hours is a long duration. You would have missed something. The next session is always based on the previous session, right? I mean, my next session will be based on what I have done yesterday. So when you don't have that previous 2-3 session topics, you always find it very difficult to cope up with the remaining sessions. Even if you think that, okay, I will go through the videos, you need to spend that additional time, right? So please, if you have decided to join, please don't delay. You will it will be a problem for you. Next. And one more thing is, once you have done the payment, there only everything will be there. You fill the one form called as enroll form. Once you have made the payment, you have to enroll form. So once you enroll, that your details will come into our database. We will be providing you the required credentials. We will be adding you to the training group to provide you with the further support. Next. Uh, there are good number of job openings for functional verification. Relatively, what is the scope in India for higher roles like RTL design and design architecture? Okay, the first question. Good number of job openings. There are opportunities for RTL design also. There is an opportunity for design architecture also. The design architecture, to get into design architecture, very difficult in India. Mostly the design activity happens in US, Europe, and Israel. Okay, let's be very realistic. Okay, uh, because there are no product companies in India. I mean, VLSI product-based companies in India are very less actually. Okay. Because of that, the design architecture role in India will be not many. But RTL design opportunities you will get, lot of opportunities you will get. So the scope wise, yes, if you want to get into RTL design, you can make a career in RTL design. How many years of functional verification experience is required for getting RTL design and architecture? RTL design you can get with 3 years experience. Architecture you can get with experience of 10 plus years. I am working on RCI DRDO as a project engineer in radar domain. For me, is it easy to get into VLSI division? You can get into VLSI division. Only thing is, you will show this. I don't know what does RCI stands for, but okay, something to do with radar, definitely, right? So you, again, what you need to do is, whatever training you undergo, those projects, some of these projects, you need to show that you have done at DRDO. Now the question comes, they may ask, how did you do DMA controller project at DRDO? Companies don't bother so much actually. Companies don't have so much time to do such level of research. They are only worried, are you good technically or not? Even today, I have people who are working in ISRO, who are working in BL, Bharat Electronics Limited. They have very comfortable salaries. Someone has a salary of almost 25 lakhs per annum, or 15 lakhs per annum. Someone has 12 lakhs per annum. They still want to switch for two reasons. In government organization, right, work satisfaction won't be much, because there is always restriction, right? You are only limited to this work and you have to only do that much. And salary growth is also limited, right? It happens in a pay scale, right? Scale 1, scale 2, there you are into different grades. In VLSI, that restriction won't be there. So if you are willing, for you it won't be a problem. I mean, the person who asked this question, all you do is, you have to spend that dedicated 6 months time, you do most of these projects, show those projects as what you have done at DRDO, and then you can get into VLSI. It's possible. The course fee, see, depends upon which course you are looking for. Again, the VLSI front-end 6 months course, front-end training for fresher 6 months course, we have charged at 63K plus GST. There are other courses, so you can go here and check based on which course you're looking for. The fees will be mentioned. Let's say Verilog training. There's a fee tab. You can go and check for every course. What is the fee? Any other questions?
Do we have foreign opportunities for functional verification?
Do we have?
Foreign opportunities.
You get many people have gone. It is possible. To tell you, I mean, many people have gone actually. Because what happens is, when you say foreign, mostly you're talking about Europe and US. If you go to US, not everyone pursues VLSI careers because there every domain is an equally paid domain. Let's say even a truck driver might be getting $6,000 per month. What VLSI engineer gets, a truck driver also might be getting same salary. So for them, VLSI is not the only life, or software domain is not the only life. So there, what happens is, but a lot of development happens in US. So they need engineers, but their universities, their colleges don't produce so many engineers. Then what they do? People from here go on H1B, L1, and join. That's why I have seen hundreds of people going there in VLSI functional verification domain. Any other questions? Okay. So if you don't have any other questions, we'll end the session. Okay. Um, okay. Thank you so much for your time. Okay. Arvind, I'm interested in joining system Verilog and functional verification. When will my course start? Should I wait for 7 weeks? Okay. Just regarding the course start dates, I'll mention quickly. If you are interested in System Verilog batch is starting. Actually, it has started last Friday. You can join the current batch itself. Arvind, you can call this number. They will help you with the System Verilog enrollment. Because what happened is the previous Verilog batch which we started, that has completed. And for them, we have started the System Verilog batch. So you can join into that batch. So you can call this number, the institute number, the number you get on the website. They will help you enroll to the System Verilog course. You don't have to wait for another 6 weeks or 7 weeks. Arvind, is it clear to you? Okay, sure. Thank you, everyone.